Big Daddy here, and today we're going to take a look at Plasma 5.9. So let's get started. Well, I was on KDE Neon 5.8. And I was not getting the update for 5.9 and getting very impatient. I was also having a sound issue that I created by mistake. So, lo and behold, I had to reinstall. Gave me a chance to perfect my reinstall technique. So, now I have 5.9. So, let's see what we got here. Let's see what's under the hood. It is KDE Neon, and it is Plasma version 5.9, Frameworks version 5.30, Qt version 5.7.1, the kernel is 4.4.062, 64-bit on an i7, and 16 gigabytes of memory. So the memory usage itself right now is running 2.2 gigabytes. So that is, to me, is right around normal for my system. With Firefox open and OBS recording, that is about normal because I normally run about 1.7, 1.5 gigabytes of memory on a Plasma desktop. Now, there are times and there are certain systems, and people have made videos where they're running 400 megabytes of memory. And when you first boot it up and you have nothing running and you have nothing starting up, you may be able to get 400 megabytes. But once you start customizing, and at least for me, with my hardware, I'm always usually running about 1.7, 1.8 gigabytes of memory. So what's new in Plasma 5.9? Well, I am really excited to look at it because there's some really good features on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the pros and the features of it. And then after that, I will go through maybe some cons or some downsides to it. So 5.9 comes with a new feature that when you take a screenshot, so I'm going to hit print screen and Spectacle's going to come up, and it just took a screenshot of my screen. So now you can drag this over into a Firefox window or maybe a messaging app window. And I guess that would be the best application for it. So if you're talking with your friends and, hey, I want to show you my desktop, you hit print screen and you drag it over into the messaging app. Now, I have not tested it with messaging apps, so your mileage may vary depending on which program you're running. I don't know how well it's integrated with other programs, but it definitely works in Firefox. So the icon widget got an update, and you were always able to open your menu and right-click and hit Add to Desktop. That was always there. But when you would right-click on it, you would pretty much have zero options. I mean, you could change the keyboard shortcut to it. That's about it. Well, they added more features to the right-click menu, and depending on what you pin to the desktop, you'll have maybe an open with, an open dialog. But the main thing is you have properties. And from here, you can change the icon and the application name and the command that you run. You can change the working path. So what this does is this allows you to create shortcuts on your desktop if you want to do it this way. It's not like this is the easiest way to create a shortcut, but it gives you the option to do it this way if you want. So you can change your icon and say we want to do documents. So we want to change this to documents. So I'm going to change the icon to the documents icon. I'm going to go to the application tab and I'm going to change this to say documents. And then in the command line, I can just hit space and type in the path to my documents folder. I hit OK, and now I have a document shortcut on the desktop that opens directly to the documents. Now, you may say, well, that's, you can just drag an icon to the desktop and get that. Yes, you can. But I will go over more of this feature later in the video. But that's an added feature that's available. All right, so they added features to the task manager so that you will be able to see a video or a music player. You'll be able to see the volume icon playing. So let's take a look at it. Let's go. Let me get a video here. Not that you need to see another Big Daddy video, but we'll go here and get a video, an old video. Oh my gosh.
Big Daddy here with another video in the series of customizing
So
KDE.
you see the icon?
Plasma
I'm gonna
5.
mute this real quick. Okay, so now you can mute it from the task manager. And you can hit next track, previous track, and do other things. You can pin it to here. So they've added this feature to it. So definitely a welcome feature. They've also updated the thumbnails and the way they look, and that sets it down further in the website, but they've also done that too. So the Quick Launch applet now supports jump list actions. So I have it on the full screen launcher, the application dashboard, but the application launcher, now you can type in, say, google.com through the launcher and it'll open up your Firefox, or you can type in a certain file that you're looking for. They basically integrated KRunner options into the application menu. So that's an added feature. As far as the full screen menu, the application dashboard, they added the ability to put widgets on the desktop directly from the dashboard. So now I can click this and drop it onto the desktop and have a widget. I don't have to right click on something and add to the desktop. All right, so that's an added feature. All right, so more streamlined visuals with the scroll bars. That's self-explanatory, I guess. Global menus. So now you have a feature that I guess some people use. I do not use them. But one thing that they added that I will use is in here. So if we go to the system settings and we go into application style, widget style, and fine tuning, you'll see the menu bar style. And right now it's on title bar button. And what that does is it gives you this button here that gives you your drop down menu. So when I open up Dolphin, I have the list of file, edit, and everything in here as a button, which is where I prefer it. If you prefer the global menus, you can hit Application Menu Widget and hit Apply. And what that does is you now have to go to the desktop, right-click on it, and hit Add Panel, Application Menu Bar. And it'll add this menu bar to your system. So now when you open up Dolphin, you'll see the global menu here. It's a brand new feature that it's not a brand new feature. They had it in KDE 4, but it's not something that I used and never used it. So if you're used to Unity or something like that, and this is a feature that you must have, it's there. So, but like I said, it's not something I prefer. So I'm going to just put it back on the title bar button because that's what I prefer. I prefer not to see the menu bar, but I want to access it at some times. So I'm going to get rid of this panel. All right. Get rid of that. And that's it for the global menus. Again, the tooltips have been redesigned. All right. So let's go on to look and feel. So there's certain things that I don't quite understand yet, but we're just going to go to the look and feel part of it. All right. And we're just going to talk about it. So they now support, when you download them and install them, they now support changing the window borders with the close and minimize. So if you pick one, and let's pick this one, and hit apply, you'll see that the actual borders change as well. So they're integrating it more so that more things change at once. And I think that's an awesome feature. Now you can use the desktop layout. You can check this and it will use the desktop layout from the theme itself. So the wallpaper and whatnot. But I choose to keep my wallpaper, so I don't want to check that. But it's nice to see that they are integrating it more so that you have to go less places to change things. So definitely a welcome feature. There's also a feature about importing and exporting to KDE KDE Store. But I have yet to, I got to dive into it more. I don't know exactly all about it. So I don't want to say, hey, you do this or do this. It's not plain out in the open to see. So I'm going to have to dig in and see how it works, and because it's definitely not somewhere in the settings easily found. All right, so there should be an import export somewhere, and maybe there is, or maybe there isn't and it's not there yet, or maybe there is and I'm not finding it. But either way, when I find it, I will let you know. All right, but I'm going to go back to the Breeze theme here. I still think that's a great feature of adding the title bars in there. All right, so the network configuration module got a redesign on it. So when you go in here, you'll be able to see it in one window, and it just looks much better than it used to. All right, and then they continually grow the Wayland support on it. So all in all, 5.9 is a pretty nice update. It's got a lot of nice features to it that weren't in 5.8, and I believe are definitely worth the upgrade. Now, to the problems with 5.9. As I'm running 5.9, I have run into certain crashes. If you asked me right at this moment, which is more stable, 5.8.5 or 5.9, I would have to say 5.9. I mean, 5.8, I would say is a little bit more stable, but not the whole system, just in certain areas of the system. So if there's certain areas that you use, you may want to stay on 5.8 until they work out the bugs. So one of those issues is with the system settings. And I have had the system settings dialog crash on me quite a few times since using it. And it's kind of sad because, you want the new version of Plasma to be great, and it is great, but with the exception of, I guess, adding new features comes new bugs. So let's hope that they get them updated and fixed pretty quickly, and we'll go from there. The other issue that I've been having is with Discover. And now this may be part of problems with 5.8 too. I think Discover is an ongoing project. Okay. It is not perfected. But the problem that I have with it is, like, for example, KDE Neon, they don't offer anything else installed by default. So they install Discover, and they want you to use Discover, but it's not completed. I've had it crash many times. I've had different messages come up for certain things. Like I would install, I don't know what's going to come up here. All right, so we're just going to do it on the fly. But I have went to install programs, and a little message pops up in the middle saying this program failed to install. And yet you have the remove button, and when I open it, it opens and everything works, but it gives you a message saying it failed to install. I think there are certain great things about Discover. For example, when you go into here and you see screenshots, right from this area. And it does take a minute to download the screenshots, just so you know. I'm clicking a little fast through there because it's installing something as well. But you see screenshots right from here. Before, like when you would do screenshots, you would have to it would give you a link to go to a website. Okay. And it's the same thing with application add-ons. So, for example, you can do color schemes. Okay. You can do, well, color schemes may be a bad example. Let's see, plasma add-ons. All right, here we go. Window decorations, better example. All right, so now when you click on one, you get screenshots that you can actually see what this is going to look like before you install it. Now, you could do that in system settings, and they had screenshots, but they were so tiny. There's no way you could actually see what they look like. And they did provide a link, but then you would have to open up a Firefox window or a browser window to look at them, and then go back to the system settings, and it would just be back and forth. This is nicely integrated where you see screenshots together. Same thing with cursors. You can click on these and see exactly what that cursor is going to look like. And on down the line with GTK2 themes, 3 themes, widgets, and everything, you can see it's absolutely becoming a great application. But it has some drawbacks, like I said, for certain items. And I'll just show you here. When you go to installed, there's absolutely no rhyme or reason to how this is laid out, how these are sorted. They're not sorted by applications or by categories. They're not sorted by alphabetical order. And I love the fact that there's a wide, big view with a big icon. But if you're going to have this wide, big view with an icon, then you need to have it sorted by category or by alphabetical order or something, not just thrown in there randomly. So you have to scroll through and maybe try to find, out of the 45,000 programs you got installed, what you're looking for. In the settings options, there's not much there except to check for updates. And like I said, it's an ongoing project. It looks good. It's looking better, I should say. But there are issues with it. And I think that until the issues are worked out, distros like KDE Neon should ship with Synaptic or something different to allow people to run. Now, you could say, well, KDE Neon's not for everybody, and maybe it's only for people who really are KDE at heart, and they'll be okay with that. And that's okay, and that's great. But I just think it's a downfall. All right, so let's go through this again and look at some of the things that aren't working properly. So, for example, now I created this shortcut for documents, okay? And that's all fine and well. But you could always just drag this over here and it will pop up a menu and you hit icon, okay? And that's great. But the problem is with doing that, you don't have the same dialog box. So, for example, when I right-click on properties on this one, I have general permissions and application. But when I right-click on this and hit properties, I have general permissions and URL. And I don't have the same options to change names and folders and working directory. And to me, it should be that way. It should be where you have the same, whether I drag it from the File Explorer from Dolphin or I right click and hit add to desktop, it should work the same way. Now maybe it's designed to be different. I don't know. But it seems to me that it should be that way. All right. The global menus, there were issues when I tried to enable the global menus. It crashed once or twice, the application menu bar. So I don't know exactly what's going on there. But let me talk a little bit more about the look and feel. All right. So the look and feels are here. And I know this has to do with things being fragmented, and I understand that, but when you hit get new looks, you have options to install, okay, and that's all well and good. But according to the website, if you install from the KDE store, which is here, the store, themes that depend on other artwork packs that are also in the KDE store, such as icon themes and plasma themes, will automatically be downloaded to give you the full experience intended by the theme creator. So I don't know if that means you'll get that from here when you download it. Okay, so when you hit Get New Looks and you go in through here, I don't know if you'll get that same icon pack or whatever. You may, but it doesn't specifically state that. The other thing is, if you do have to install from the store, they're pointing you to the KDE store website, which is great. And the more people that upload and import themes, the more choices we have. But the basic thing is you can either download it and install it yourself manually, or you can hit Files and you can hit Install. But the problem is, if you don't have xdg-url installed on your system, the install button doesn't do anything. It doesn't work. And they give you installation instructions, and you give you a link to go to linuxapps.com, and you can't hit the install button because it's not installed itself. So for me, I would click the deb file, download it, install it, and then I could come back to the KDE store and click install. But the problem is, to me, if you're going to direct people to the KDE store, then I feel that you should have that application in the repositories of the distribution you're on. Like, I'm on KDE Neon. And KDE Neon is the flagship for Plasma for KDE. So if I install KDE Neon, you would expect Neon to have that XDG file or application installed automatically so that you don't have to go and download it and install it yourself. That's just me. Like I said, if you're going to point people to your store, and that's great that it's going that way, then it should be there automatically so you don't have to install it. Now, there may be other issues, other problems with having it installed by default or by beforehand. I'm not privy to that. All I'm looking at it from is an end user point of view, where why do I have to go through all of this just to click the install? Now, this is not separate from or singular to KDE. It's the same way with GNOME. It's the same way with all of them. All of the other desktop environments, you would still have to install the XDG program. Okay, so it's not like this is just KDE. But I guess what I'm saying is, like I said, if you are pointing people there, then you should probably go the extra step and have that installed. The other thing is, they talk about the Look and Feel Explorer theme creation utility. Will export your current window decoration themes to the theme you create. Okay, so, but and like I said, I don't know where it is. I don't know where the export theme is. We'll just leave it at that. I don't know where it is. It should be prominent in here, I would think. Maybe at the last minute they didn't ship it. I don't know. Maybe it's in here deep in one of the valleys of settings that are in KDE, and maybe it's buried somewhere. But I think if you want people to, you're going for people to say, hey, this is a great feature of KDE Neon now, or KDE Plasma 5. You can now do this. Then you should have it right there, right in your face. There should be a big import-export button here. Save your theme. It shouldn't be buried somewhere where you can't find it. That's what I'm saying. All right. So, all in all, there are good things about KDE Neon Plasma 5.9, and there are downfalls to it. So let's talk about the stability for a moment. 5.8.5, if you're on it and none of these new features are really impressive to you, you're not going to use them, I would say stay on 5.8.5 or 5.8.6 for the time being until some of these bugs are worked out. If you want some of these new features are really great in my eyes. Some of them are really good. And I think, to me, they're worth making the jump from 5.8 to 5.9. So for me personally, I think it's worth the upgrade. I can deal with the problems with Discover because I don't use Discover. I install Synaptic Package Manager, and that's what I use to install programs. I go into once I have my system set up, I don't go into the system settings that often. So if it crashes once in a great while, that's not a big deal to me. It may be a big deal to you. So depending on where you're at and what you're looking for and what you want out of it, will answer the question, should you upgrade to 5.9? I think all in all, there's some great features and some downsides to it. I would love to make a video and say 5.9 is the best thing since sliced bread, but I can't do that. So until next time, Big Daddy out.